Next, types of ecosystem. The biosphere is an intricate net of carefully mixed life forms, complex interactions of many macro and microscopic species of plants and animals, together with rich arrays of symbiotic fungi and lichens, are the base of every ecosystem, from forests to coral reefs and freshwater to soils. All ecosystems are not only sources of rich biodiversity but also extremely productive areas, offering a lot of benefits to mankind. Types of ecosystem: terrestrial ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem, forest ecosystem, grassland ecosystem, desert ecosystem, marine ecosystem, freshwater, lentic, that means stationary water, lotic, running water. The total forest biomass is about 677 petagram pg, and trees constitute 80% of the world's biomass. Tropical rainforests are restricted primarily to the equatorial zone between latitude 10 north, 10 south in Central and South America, Africa, Southeast Asia, and some islands in the Caribbean Sea and Pacific Ocean. Climates where tropical rainforests develop are always warm and receive at least 200 centimeters of precipitation throughout the year, with no less than 10 centimeters during any single month. Their soils are typically old and deeply weathered oxy soils. Because they are relatively devoid of humus and clay, they take on the reddish color of aluminum and iron oxides and retain nutrients poorly. 90% of non-human primate species live in them. Tropical rainforests are under intense pressure from logging and agriculture. Temperate deciduous forest. Temperate deciduous forest is typical of the eastern half of the United States, parts of south central and southeastern Canada, southern Africa, and many areas of Europe and Asia. These areas, that means temperate deciduous forest areas, generally receive 75 to 100 centimeter, 30 to 60 inches of relatively evenly distributed precipitation every year. The winters are relatively mild and plants are actively growing for about half the year. Temperate deciduous forests have fewer tree species than tropical rainforests, but the penetration of more sunlight supports a richer biodiversity of plant life at ground level. Most of the temperate deciduous forests have been heavily affected by human activities such as farming, periodic logging, and other things. Furthermore, they are the major population centers. Some of these diverse forests have been cleared and replaced with tree plantations consisting of only one tree species. Temperate evergreen forest. Temperate rainforests exist in the coastal areas of Northern California, Oregon, Washington, then British Columbia, southern Alaska, New Zealand, and the southwest coast of Chile. They typically receive at least 130 centimeter 50 inches of rain each year. Furthermore, rain occurs throughout the year and the cool climate slows evaporation, so things are generally damp. This abundance of water, along with fertile soil and mild temperatures, result in a lush growth of plants. In warm temperate climates near the Pacific coast in northwestern North America and in southern Chile, New Zealand, and Tasmania, mild winters, heavy winter rains, and summer fog create conditions that support extremely tall evergreen forests. In North America, these forests are dominated towards the south by coast redwood, sequoia trees, and towards the north by Douglas fir trees. In contrast to rainforests in the tropics, temperate rainforests typically support few species. Because of the rich resource of trees, at least half of the original temperate rainforest has already been logged. Tropical dry forests. Tropical dry forests are found in part of Central and South America, Australia, Africa, and Asia, particularly India and Myanmar. Many of the tropical dry forests have a monsoon climate in which several months of heavy rainfall are followed by extensive dry periods ranging from a few to as many as 8 months. Since the rainfall is highly seasonal, many of the plants have special adaptations for enduring drought. Many of these forests occur in areas of very high human population. Therefore, the harvesting of wood for fuel and building materials has heavily affected these forests. Then taiga, stretching in a broad belt centered at about 50 degrees north in North America and about 60 degrees north in Europe and Asia, lies the evergreen coniferous forests or the boreal forest biome, often called as taiga. In this subarctic climate, winters are long, dry, and extremely cold, with sunlight available only 6 to 8 hours a day. Summers are short, with a mild to warm temperature, and the sun typically shines 19 hours a day. Most boreal forests are dominated by a few species of coniferous cone-bearing evergreen trees such as fir, cedar, hemlock, and pine that keep some of their narrow pointed leaves or needles all year long. Human impact is less severe than with many other biomes because population density is generally low in this region. Next, tundra. The tundra is an extremely cold region that lacks trees and has a permanently frozen subsurface soil. This frozen soil layer is known as permafrost. The amount of precipitation is less than 25 centimeter, 10 inches per year, and the short summer is generally wet. Because of winter, snows melt in the spring, and summer temperature are usually less than 10 degrees Celsius. Soils tend to be acidic because of their high organic matter content. Arctic tundra is an expansive biome that has low productivity because it has a short growing season. Plants hold their foliage for years. Most plants are dwarf, prostrate woody shrubs which grow low to the ground to gain protection against the winter blanket of snow and ice. Tundra is essential for global biodiversity, especially for migratory birds. Then comes the grassland ecosystem. Grassland ecosystem are ecologically and economically important and are of widespread occurrence. The potential disturbance of grassland ecosystems to a large extent is determined by climate variables, principally temperature and precipitation. Three factors, including drought, fire, and grazing by large ungulate herbivores, distinguish grasslands from other ecosystem types. They are located in areas in which water availability is below the requirement for the forest at the same time during the year, but is sufficient to support grasses as the dominant plant type. Grasslands and the Widescents are among the largest ecosystems in the world. Their area is estimated to be 40.5% of the terrestrial area, excluding Greenland and Antarctica. Different types of grasslands include tropical ones. Tropical grasslands are also called savannas, are found in tropical parts of Africa, South America, and Australia. Fire and grazing undoubtedly play important roles in maintaining the character of the savanna biome, particularly in water regions, as grasses can persist better than other forms of vegetation under both influences. It's based on the seasonality of precipitation. Ungulate fauna and associated carnivores are present, were African savanna. Temperate grasslands or prairies, steppe vegetation, are widely distributed over temperate parts of the world. Winters are bitterly cold, summers are hot and dry, and annual precipitation is fairly sparse and falls unevenly through the year. The North America grasslands develop within the continental climate zones, where rainfall ranges between 30 and 85 cm per year, and winters are cold. The growing season increases from north to south from about 120 to 300 days. These grasslands are often called prairies. Extensive grasslands are also found in Central Asia, where they are called steppe. Precipitation is infrequent, so organic detritus does not decompose rapidly, and the soils are rich in organic matter and nutrient content. Dominated by grasses, which grow to heights over 2 meters in the moister parts of these grasslands and up to less than 0.2 m in more arid regions. Mediterranean shrublands. The Mediterranean shrublands, also called chaparrals, are located near oceans and are dominated by shrubby plants. Chaparral consists mostly of dense growths of low-growing evergreen shrubs and occasional small trees with leathery leaves that reduce evaporation. During the long, hot and dry summers, chaparral vegetation becomes very dry and highly flammable. Fire is a common feature of this biome, and the shrubs are adapted to withstand occasional fires. Even insectivorous birds and rodents eat some plant materials in case of deserts. Omnivory, other than carnivory, is a complex food web seems to be the rule in desert ecosystems. The pelagic is divided into two provinces. In case of marine ecosystem, pelagic marine ecosystem is there. This pelagic marine ecosystem is divided into two, like the Neritic province, water that overlies the continental shelf, the oceanic province, and Neritic one. Because conditions change the depth, the pelagic is divided into several distinct vertical layers or zones. The epipelagic or photic zone, and there are sharp gradients. Mesopelagic, and a little light to penetrate. This picture we have learned earlier, but still we are gonna study this. Pelagic division, Neritic province, continental edge, sublittoral zone, benthic division, abaisobenthic, bathybendic zone, abaisobenthic zone, hadal zone. Epipelagic, sea surface, mesopelagic, bathypelagic, abaisopelagic. Coral reefs, mangrove swamp ecosystems, benthic marine ecosystems. Feeders, collectors, deposit feeders, and predators. Littoral zone, sublittoral zone, and the deep sea zones. Abyssobenthic zone is also there. Then estuaries. Estuaries. Half of the global primary production take place in marine systems. Lentic or stagnant water and lotic or running water. Littoral zone can be further classified into zone of emergent vegetation, zone of floating vegetation, and zone of submerged vegetation. Epilimnion, metalimnion, and hypolimnion. Wetlands. Hydrogeomorphology and or vegetation characteristics such as marine coastal wetlands, including coastal lagoons, rocky shores, and coral reefs. Estuaries, including deltas, tidal marshes, and mangrove swamps. Lacustrine, riverine, palestrine.